welcome to Film Punky, where I review and analyze films, TV and web series. This is my first video after procrastinating for months. So, अगर ऊंच नीच हो गई, if there are any issues, तो अपना बिटिया समझ के माफ कर देना. If anyone knows me from my other channel is podcast को क्या नाम दूँ, where I break down IPK, which is इस प्यार को क्या नाम दूँ, in a very obsessive level, then welcome to me obsessing over films in a slightly more professional attempt. So thank you for giving my channel a chance. I will try my very best to make the following review as spoiler-free as possible so you can have the best movie viewing experience. I've been planning this for months and obviously किसी भी millennial की तरह if I plan something right now, I will do it 6 months later. So I'm very happy to actually put up my first video on a film that is absolutely worth it. Gangubai Kathiawadi.
शक्ति, संपत्ति, सद्बुद्धि ये तीनों ही औरतें हैं तो इन मर्दों को किस बात का गुरूर.
Starring Alia Bhatt in the titular role, this film is based on the chapter of Gangubai in Hussain Zaidi's Mafia Queens of Mumbai and is a lucid depiction of the person herself. So over the past few days, reviews have poured in for this film despite its few controversies and cynicism over the hype and marketing for it. However, this is one of the few films that actually deserves every bit of the buzz. I don't have many complaints in this film, so therefore, the next few minutes are going to be dedicated as to why Gangubai Kathiawadi is probably one of the best films of 2022. Number 1. Writing. It is that thing that drowns a film or makes it a masterpiece. And one of the biggest issues when transcribing a story to a script is how much stays in versus how much is cut out. Screenwriter Sanjay, Leela, Bhansali and Vashishta, she also wrote the screenplay for Sarbh, effectively consolidate the key highlights of Gangubai's life into a seamless 2.5-hour film that flies by your eyes. One of the strengths of this film is that the writers never forget who the protagonist is, therefore showing every character and situation in association with Gangubai, allowing the audience to see a layered woman who exists primarily as a person, but also as a sister, mother, lover, and friend. And not just limited to her personal relationships, but also her professional ones, where she becomes from a prostitute to a madam to the president of Kamatipura, an activist, and of course a mafia queen of Mumbai. Like Gangubai herself, the writing expands her beyond the usual trope of the worldly prostitute with keen advice of the tragic suffering woman with no hope in life. Another chief place where this film wins is that almost everyone and everything is seen from Gangubai's eyes, hence her pain feels like ours and so do her victories. Agar film se, if I take a very specific example, then the one scene where we can actually see this is when Gangubai arrives at Kamatipura in Sheila Mausi's brothel for the first time. At this point, we all know what's going to happen on screen because this is where the story starts. Fir bhi, the audience relies solely on Gangu for the environment. Not a second is wasted on anyone she doesn't interact with. And despite knowing what's going to happen next, I swear, I got goosebumps on screen. That fear was palpable. And also, Gangubai is real. She cries, she's heartbroken, she's angry, she's vulnerable, she's strong, she loves, she's confident, and she's humbled. She stays away from being a two-dimensional figure of inspiration that often happens in a woman-centric film. Number 2. Dialogues. So usually films by Sanjay, Leela, Bhansali have dialogues that veer more towards the poetic end, so it sounds great to ears, but we're left wondering if people truly speak that way, you know? Was Mastani always waxing poetry every time we saw her on screen? However, in Gangubai, dialogue writers Prakash Kapadia and Utkarshini Vashishta bring a touch of reality and infuse poetry only when necessary. They effortlessly cut out the sleaziness that one might associate with the world of prostitution and manage to deliver fright, grief, threat, and relief over the barest words. Also, every character has their own way of speaking. And considering this film that looks at Gangubai's life over a time period, the consistency with her vocabulary and dialogues is worth every praise. So much so that when her speech comes in, like, in every inspirational story or in every story that's about one particular character, there will be this one great monologue at the end. Over here, it does not feel like Gangubai ki atma mein koi lekhak ghus gayi. It is very in tone with her dialogue delivery style and with her range of words that she usually uses. And spoiler alert, there is only one scene where all the characters sound similar, and there is a specific reason why that happens. Will not explain further. When you see the movie, it'll hit you when. Number 3. Casting, acting and direction. The reason why I married these three together is because I believe the secret ingredients to a perfect character is when the right person is casted, when the actor acts their part, and when the director directs well. Now before you get upset on me, I always viewed Sanjay, Leela, Bhansali's characters as puppets on stage. Beautiful to look at, but at times it's visible that they're on strings. It's almost a mix of what the director wants on screen for the characters versus what the actor is capable of. But in Gangubai, it feels like he has struck gold in creating the perfect characters. It feels like he has given them more space to breathe and make these roles their own. Of course, Alia Bhatt stuns everyone as Gangubai Kathiawadi. It is no exaggeration as to what work she has performed on screen. And I think one of the many reasons why this film works with her as a protagonist is that it accurately captures an age bracket that she can master on screen. Therefore, staying away from prosthetics or makeup that could have hampered her excellent performance. She lives and breathes Gangubai and delivers an excellent range. Also, this is not just the best performance in her career, it might be one of the best performances we've seen on screen in this decade. Rahim Lala is a character whose presence alone demands authority, and Ajay Devgn, who's known for his intense eyes and few words, delivers that role to perfection. He leaves a lasting impression. Indira Tiwari's comely grows on you with her wide-eyed understanding of the world that she's in. Her soft smiles of hope or unabashed laughter at a joke rubs you just the right way. Vijay Raaz is exceptional. He brings his expertise into shape-shifting in any character. His Razia intimidates you with just a look. You're convinced of the character's power even before a word is uttered. However, I do agree that it is high time Hindi cinema cast trans actors. But I also agree with the fact that Vijay Raaz delivers one of the best performances we have seen on screen. Shantanu Maheshwari is a delightful surprise. I knew he was a great dancer from his Dil Dosti dance days. I'm a 90s baby, so I remember when Channel V was fab. But I also loved what he did in the film. He brings lightness with his chemistry with Alia, and that boyish charm is a cherry on top. I cannot wait to watch him more on screen. Jim Sarbh is to bhai Jim Sarbh. Amazing, fantastic, perfect dialogue delivery. I would have never believed Padmavat's Malik Kapoor and Gangubai's Amin Faizi are the same person. And that reminds me of Seema Pahwa. She aces the dubious Sheila Mosi with a pinch of dark humor, and once again, I cannot believe she's the same actor who plays Rajkumar Rao's aunt in this week's other release, Badhai Do. On the last note, I'd also like to point out Varun Kapoor. I'm glad to see a familiar TV face on screen. Number 4. Cinematography. A cinematographer, Sudeep Chatterjee, who has long collaborated with Bhansali on his other films like Guzarish, Bajirao Mastani and Padmavat, brings his experience and keen gaze into this film. There's the classic SLB marriage of composition, mise-en-scène and lighting in every frame. Every shot is aesthetically pleasing and potent with the mood and setting of the scene. Rahim Lala's presence is determined by the camera angles. So is Gangubai's rising power. Also, beautifully, the camera staunchly stays away from the male gaze and gives every woman grace and dignity on screen. Even in a blouse and skirt, the camera never objectifies the woman. Reminiscent of the phrase that it's not what she wears, but how you look. Number 5. Editing and sound. You might have already noticed that in the songs and trailer itself, the movie never skips a beat, such as the moment when the rose drops in Meri Jaan's specific beat. Or throwing off guards, lyrically falling in place with Jab Saiyan. Which even Shreya Ghoshal said in her interviews that the song was sung with each line delivered like a card throw. The movie is crisply edited by Sanjay Leela Bhansali himself, and the scoring by Sanchit Balhara, who also worked in Bajirao Mastani and Kalank, and Ankit Balhara cements the world of Kamathipura. Whether it's the noisy neighborhood, the silence, harrowing screams, or a mild undertone to lay out the theme, it's complementary with Sanjay Leela Bhansali's shot selection. The scenes don't run a second longer, and every second is used to its maximum. Something that is contrary to usual SLB type of films where time is spent more luxuriously for a specific angle or shot or expression. Number 6. How the film treats sex work. The film's refusal to sexualize sex work and focus on it as a hard-earned labor is a good departure from what we've seen. The film pushes through the shame and shifts the question from the disrespect of being a sex worker to why is a sex worker not respected in the first place. It depicts that, like any breadwinner, sex workers break their bodies, in metaphorical and literal sense. I have intense respect for the film not showing any sex scene given the sensitivity of the topic and depicting the women more than their work. Allusions are used when required and kinship forms the core of the relationship. This film's definition of sisterhood, masculinity, femininity and sex work is incredibly refreshing. Gangubai Kathiawadi is a strong recommendation because it's a beautiful film. Let me know in the comments below what you thought and thank you for seeing the video. Feel free to like, subscribe, whatever is there for YouTube video shenanigans. Thank you so much for giving your time.